Is the DJI Osmo Action 4 camera still worth buying in 2025? A couple weeks ago, I was asking myself the same question, but now, having bought one, having filmed some footage, played around with settings, and spent some time with it, I think the answer's a pretty definitive yes. It's still selling really well, it's often on sale, and the features aren't that far removed from the newer Osmo Action 5 Pro, so there's a bargain to be had here. Having now spent some time with it, I've got a lot of initial thoughts on this camera, and I thought it'd be helpful to show those while taking a look through some test footage I filmed at three of my favourite places here in Nelson, New Zealand: Isle Park, Queen's Gardens, and Miyazu Japanese Gardens. Basically, it was just a good excuse to go spend a day in the park. So if you're thinking about picking one up for yourself, I hope that my thoughts here are helpful in some way. Make sure to stick around until the very end for a kind of summary of my thoughts. But yeah, for now, enjoy the footage, and if you find this video helpful, consider subscribing for more. So I've got around 9 settings that I want to chat through. This first one is just full auto, so it's using the camera pretty much out of the box. Everything's on standard settings, 4K, 60 frames per second. Field of view, it was either wide or I might have put it to standard Dewarp. I haven't done any color grading on any of this footage except for where I say I have. So I was trying to get a feel for how smooth the footage is, what the colors come out like, in some instances what the audio sounds like. So this one here is just taking a walk through Queen's Gardens and getting a feel for how the camera works. And honestly, looking back at this, I'm really delighted with how it came out. The colors are absolutely popping. That Rocksteady features got some good stabilisation. Looks great. And here at Miyazu Japanese Gardens, I've lowered the frame rate down to 24 frames per second. Walking in the shade as well, the colors aren't popping quite as much, and it's a little bit overexposed in places by the look of it. And I'm noticing in parts that the footages are just a bit more jaggy. But yeah, I just wanted to take it out of the box, use whatever settings it felt was good to use, and yeah, pretty happy with it. So next, this doesn't need much said about it, just playing around with some slow motion. Starting off with 4K 60, slowed down. I think this timeline's 30 frames per second, so this will be half speed, or thereabouts. And yeah, predictably nice and smooth, colors looking great again. Might not be the best example on the swing, it's not moving that fast, but just as an example. This will now be 4K 120 frame. Ooh, didn't really stick the footwork there. 120 frames per second. So obviously slowed down quite a lot more, but again, still looking buttery smooth. And that is, you know, one of the big selling points of these cameras, is what they're kind of made for, capturing action and then playing around with it in post. And this will now be 1080p, 240 frames per second. So you can't have 240 frames per second at 4K, which is fine. I mean, I don't anticipate I'm going to be filming often at 240 frames per second. I mean, this is slowed down to the point of barely moving. But still, good to have that flexibility, and I think still looks really good. Good bit of fun, that swing too. And then to capture some different motion, I went and chased some seagulls around Queen's Gardens. They move a fair bit faster than I do on the swing, so I thought that'd be a good test for it. I can't remember exactly what setting, I think 4K 1080 here. And yeah, once again, looking really super smooth. I think what would have been worth having on too would be the horizon balancing feature, but I'll come to talk about that later. So all of that is to say, yeah, pretty happy with the slow motion for this camera. Next up is a bit of low light, so this is walking into the Chinese temple part of Queen's Gardens. Quite shaded in there. Just wanted to get a see for how it performs in a bit of shade, and you can see it's massively overexposed some of that light in the background. I've already obviously had a look back through this footage. You'll see once I come into the light, the colors kind of pop a bit more. It sort of does what it needs to do to the exposure. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a lot about cameras, but I know what I like. And like, I like this, but in that shade, yeah, it wasn't quite looking as nice. And here's underneath a tree in Isle Park, really super shaded in there, and you can see it hasn't picked up a lot of detail. So I don't imagine I'm going to be doing a lot of low light filming, but yeah, I can see that it definitely is a little bit held back when it comes to that footage. Alright, next up, this is stabilization, and this one here actually blew my mind. I'm just going to pause that briefly. Looking back at this footage, I've gone through each setting. So I've gone with no stabilization at all, which is our first clip. I've then put on Rocksteady, Rocksteady Plus, and then horizon balancing. I'll just point out that I overemphasized walking across this kind of obstacle course in Miyazu, really emphasizing the steps, just to properly stress test the footage there. I've made sure to do each of them identical in a similar sort of space of time, taking the same sort of dramatic steps just to see how good the features were. And honestly, you'll see for yourself, this one blew my mind. This made me call my wife straight over. I was like, you've got to look at this. Absolutely incredible how well this thing performs. Again, taking the same overemphasized steps, and it's buttery smooth. Okay, maybe not quite buttery, but pretty impressive. Now this is with Rocksteady Plus. I didn't really notice a huge difference between the two. I don't even really understand what the difference is. I guess the Plus one's a bit more effective. And this final one is with horizon balancing on. So I took a bit more, leaning into the corners here just to see how it would kind of straighten out. And again, it's done an admirable job. Really stoked on that. Okay, so next taking a look at color profiles. So starting off with just full stock footage, auto everything, normal color profile. This is at Queen's Gardens, and yeah, looking pretty good. I'll then chuck a LUT on it, and this is one from Editor's Keys. It's called One Click Fix, and yeah, I've kept it at full settings just to kind of overemphasize how much it does. Really made the blacks quite black, but the colors look nice. I can see that this would have an application somewhere. Now back at Isle Park, again, this is just standard, normal color profile, full auto everything, looking around some trees, some blue sky. And then this is with a LUT on it. This one's a bit more subtle. It's called Nature, I think also by Editor's Keys. Looks nice. This footage kind of trips me out though. It's got a kind of weird, that fisheye effect. And this is back at Miyazu. Again, standard first, and then we'll put on a LUT called OT. And this one here, to be fair, really quite like how this looks. I think that improves the footage quite nicely. Has that kind of vintage sort of effect to it, you know? Next up, field of view. This one's pretty self-explanatory, so just going from standard or Dewarp to wide to ultra wide. So this is starting off with standard Dewarp, taking a walk amongst some trees, jumping out to wide. Not a major difference between the two here, but certainly getting a little bit more on the edges. And it's when you go to ultra wide that, yeah, you can see quite a lot more. So this is walking around some big trees. I'll then go to a slightly more closed in part of the park. And again, this is back on standard Dewarp, wide, and ultra wide. As you would expect, ultra wide sort of curves things around the edges a bit more, but you certainly do capture a lot. So next, microphone. 2 tests of the microphone, one using the internal mic of the Action 4 and one using the DJI Mic Mini. Alright, just going to do a few tests of the microphone now, starting off with the internal mic of the Osmo Action 4. Just a short walk from Miyazu Japanese Gardens, right by a busy road now, so I just want to see how much ambient sound the internal mic picks up. There's a couple of cars going by, plane overhead. Hoping the voice isolation's pretty good, but we will see. And now walking back the other direction with the DJI Mic Mini powered up. I don't know what like gain settings or anything it's on, I haven't checked that yet. Standard, I guess. I'm expecting this audio to be a bit better. Microphone's a bit closer to me as well, but we'll see. Honestly, pretty impressed with the internal mic. I think the Mic Mini did sound a little bit better, but really not remarkably so, which is a little bit disappointing because I had to buy that separately. But good to know that in a pinch, if I just had the camera on me, that audio is not going to be unusable. I'm very happy. Okay, next, a bit of motion blur, so I've got to refresh myself as to what settings I used here. So this is putting some ND filters on and sort of seeing how that impacts things. It was a pretty bright day when I was filming. Starting off with full auto everything and no ND filter. So it'll zoom in shortly, and that's taking a look at how much motion blur is on that rapidly moving piece of water. Pretty sharp at the moment. Then going to stick an ND16 filter on. These are DJI's own ones. And drop the frame rate down to 24 frames per second with a shutter speed of 1/50. Now gone to 60 frames per second with a 120 shutter speed, and still that same ND16 filter. So a good bit of smoothness there, and I'll compare all three. The next one I've got, this is now moving footage, so I wanted to do both static and moving. This is now sort of moving fairly rapidly with the camera low to the ground at Miyazu Japanese Gardens. Again, this is full auto everything, no ND filter on. And it does a pretty good job. It's nice and smooth, that Rocksteady's kicking in, the colors are looking good. Then do 24 frames per second with the ND16 on, 1/50 shutter speed. And you'll see quite a bit of jankiness in the background here, which is something I knew was going to be an issue with this camera. Something about the low shutter speed doesn't compute well with the Rocksteady feature. It makes the background sort of jag a wee bit. But then going to, again, that same setting as before, 60 frames per second, 1/20 shutter speed, ND16. Rocksteady is on, and it's quite a good bit smoother here. Colors, I wouldn't say are remarkably better than full auto, but still good to know that those specific settings do sort of solve that jankiness of the camera. And yeah, that is some initial thoughts on the DJI Osmo Action 4 camera. Testing out a bunch of settings, obviously plenty more that I could have tested, and if there's any that you were particularly wanting to see, please let me know in a comment below. More than happy to do a follow-up to this video if there's interest in that. Couple obvious standout features for me personally, that internal microphone, really quite impressed with the performance of that. I probably will still opt to use the Mic Mini in most instances, but it's good to know that if ever the battery dies or I forget to take it with me, the internal mic on the camera is a perfectly usable backup option. And of course, the stabilisation, that Rocksteady feature, absolutely incredible. I really did overemphasize those steps, so for it to smooth most of that out is really quite impressive. Suppose it's worth including a quick word as to how the Action 4 came about and why I bought one of these. So for the last little while, for work, for YouTube, for other purposes, I've just been using my iPhone, a 13 mini, that's what I'm looking at right now, and it's been perfectly usable. It does fine, but over time I've become less of a fan of using my phone. It fills up the storage very quickly, and then the phone becomes really quite unusable when it's trying to upload all of that to iCloud, can't perform backups and other things, and I kind of feel there's merit in having a tool specifically for the job. So I have been eyeing up another camera. In truth, I was looking at the DJI Pocket 3 for a long time, but ran into two issues there. Number one, very hard to find stock of that at the moment, and number two, it is priced up a wee bit. I've already mentioned before, we're looking at moving overseas, trying to save the money a wee bit, and that one there the wife said no. The Action 4, on the other hand, already priced quite well, and then DJI went and had a sale, knocked another 30% or so off of it, and that became such a good deal that even the wife couldn't say no to that one. This is also part of a wider mission to kind of simplify my setup with that move overseas coming up. We're trying to pare down on our possessions a wee bit. That's partly why I've got this weird kind of space here today. I'm actually just sitting at a coffee table underneath my kitchen countertop. Nikki's probably going to come and clutch with a second angle. It's a usable space. So back to the camera, a couple other things worth mentioning. The settings menu for this is very intuitive, very simple to use. Anything that's not super intuitive, once you start getting into those sort of pro settings and messing around with things like shutter speed and frame rate, lots of guides online. The camera's been around for a long while. People will tell you exactly how to do it, so I'm not too worried about that. Again, as evidenced by that very first clip that I showed, quite impressed with the full auto on this thing. It's nice having the flexibility to mess around with some of those in-depth features as and when you want, but knowing that you're able to just kind of hit record and run and gun with it, that's pretty reassuring. And yeah, otherwise, don't know what else to say. Really like the form factor of it. The battery life's been perfectly usable. Got some good accessories with it too. It's an impressive little camera, and as I mentioned at the start, definitely would recommend picking one up if you're on the fence. I hope this video was helpful. Again, if there's anything else you'd like me to test, let me know in a comment below. And before I forget, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hooroo.